The purpose of this video is to familiarize ourselves with the nspire and matrices, which is the lead up to being able to solve systems using matrices in a variety of ways on the nspire. So first of all, we would like to be able to create a matrix. So I can do that in a couple of different ways. One way is to go through the menu button and then choose number 7, matrix and vector, choose number 1, create, and I'm going to choose 1 again for matrix, and then I can choose how big I'd like it to be. Let's go nuts. 5 by 3, why not? And of course you can go ahead and start entering whatever numbers belong in here, and I'm not going to complete the whole thing, but I could put in numbers, and to go between them in this particular order, I'm just hitting tab in between each number. Get the idea? What if I wanted to enter a fraction? Might as well review that here. We could do a variety of ways. I could do 1/2, and it will change it later. Or if I prefer, I could do control divided by 1/3, and there are, of course, other ways to access that, including in the button that I'm about to talk about now. So I'm just going to go, I'm not even going to fill this out. I'm going to just get rid of it. Okay, my other option is to go push the button next to book. This would be the button that I'm referring to as book because it looks like an open book, which makes this the button next to book. And that is located right here. And if I push this button, I get a template for all kinds of things. But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 templates that look a whole lot like matrices. This first one would give you simply a 2 by 2. This one would give you a 1 by 2, a 2 by 1, and this one looks like it's going to give us a 3 by 3. Let's push the button. So if I go ahead and push the button, suddenly I get to make some choices. So again, I could make a matrix as big as I want. Hitting tab, hitting OK. I'm going to go ahead and fill this one in. And I'm just randomly picking these numbers because I want to. If you have any ideas, you should shout them out. Oh, yeah, fractions. Let's see how they play out. Control divided by 4/3. -2, 0, 3, -2, 1. And again, I really did just choose those numbers. If I were to then hit enter, that would be nice. It would just say, oh yes, that's the matrix you just plugged in. Okay, so that's creating a matrix, and you can figure out how to do that, which includes creating things like augmented matrices. Okay, well, I intentionally made a square matrix this last time because I would like to be able to talk about the determinants and inverses. So let's go back to the calculator, and I'll remind you, no I won't. For a determinant, you're going to want to go through the menu button, the matrix button, and then number 3 is determinant. So we could even go back to our screen and write this here in case that's helpful. So for determinants, we went to menu, matrix, determinant. I think that was the next one. I don't think there was something in between. Double check? Sure, why not? Menu, 7, 3. Okay, so determinant. Now, I've already entered the 4x4 matrix. What if I wanted to just go choose it and take its determinant? Reminder, I can hit the arrow up button. Oh, that turned blue. Now if I hit enter, it inserts it where my cursor was last. I'll go to the end. I'll hit enter. Look, the determinant is -69 seconds. That's very interesting. Most notably, it's not 0. Great. Which means when I go to take the inverse, I will get a proper inverse. So a reminder about inverses, our notation for an inverse would look something like this, to the -1 denoting the inverse. So really what we need to do on the nspire is be able to take our matrix and raise it to the -1 power, to the -1. Enter. Wow, what a nice inverse. Now, surprisingly, it's got all kinds of lovely fractions. Okay, so that's inverses. Actually, while we're here talking about inverses, it seems to me that we could talk about one other thing. Suppose I wanted to find the inverse of a matrix. I could certainly on the calculator just plug in the inverse, but I'll also remind you that you can find the inverse of a matrix by augmenting the matrix with the identity and then going ahead and finding its inverse that way. Now, it seemed to me when I looked through these menus that there were ways to sort of do that very smoothly, and I'm not exactly sure how I would do that, but I will point out that I could go ahead and say, I know I'm solving a 3x3 system, which means, I would like 3 rows and 6 columns, and then go ahead and enter, and I'm just going to make this simple, and here, let me go here, and then go ahead and fill in my inverse. My identity. And once I have that identity, I can then go ahead and calculate the inverse. And of course, I haven't done that yet because our next screen really gets to that idea, and I didn't want to shortchange it. So the next screen asks about reduced row echelon form, or as we have come to know it, RREF. Once again, you're going to go into menu. Not surprisingly, our next move is matrix. And let's make sure we get this right. So suppose I wanted to RREF that. Yep, I made it a verb. I menu, I matrix, reduced row echelon form, number 5. It writes it as RREF. That's great. Now I'll just say, I'm just going to write RREF, but you're going to have to find reduced row echelon form. I believe it was number 5. I think it's more important that you know how to find things than it is to do things other ways. Ooh, I have another idea. So we could go ahead and RREF, go ahead and choose our matrix for RREFing, hit enter, and we get the identity on the left and the inverse on the right. And yes, this is a different matrix than before. What if I couldn't remember how to find that gosh darn RREF thing? I could actually type in RREF, open a set of parentheses, go up and grab my matrix, and hit enter, and lo and behold, it's the same thing. See? Same thing. So you do have the option of just typing in RREF, which I'm hoping you'll remember how to spell, opening a set of parentheses, inserting your matrix, and closing them because the calculator will make you, and hitting enter. So think about RREF as finding one way to find inverses, though raising something to the -1 is also calculator friendly. But it also allows you to augment a matrix and simply find a solution to that system that way. Before we go here, let's actually look at one of those. So suppose we were solving a system, and of course you could solve this all kinds of ways, but maybe what we owe ourselves is a chance to solve a system in a couple of different ways. Or to remind you of what some of those ways are. So if we went into menu and matrix and I'm creating, I could create a matrix. I could make it a 3x4 because I'm going to do an augmented matrix, and suppose it was x plus 2y minus 3z equals 6, and 0x plus 1y minus 2z equals 8. Yes, I am making this up right here, right now. Who knows how well it will work? 3x minus y plus z, plus z equals 10. Okay, so here's my augmented matrix, and what do I actually want to do to this? So I could go to the end and I could go ahead and hit enter. I could ask to RREF it, and I didn't open my parentheses. Go up, grab it, hit enter, and I've got my solution of 2, -16, -12. Okay. So what if I wanted to do it by by the inverse? And actually, let's go ahead and have this conversation in conjunction with storing things as a shortcut. In other words, what if you didn't want to keep entering your matrix, but you knew you had a matrix to enter? So storing is the lovely button that says go. And it even has a little arrow. It's right here above the var button, or var button. And so that stow button allows us to store anything we want as any other thing that we want. And usually that would be storing a number as a variable, or in this case, we can actually store a matrix as the name of a matrix. So I could go ahead and create a matrix. Ready? I'll go with the next to book button this time. So I'm going to create a matrix that is a 3 by 3. And I'm going to do the same one we have above here. So 1, 2, -3. 0, 1, -2, 3, -1, 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit store, but given that it's in blue, I better hit control first. So control var gives me the store, and let's call that, of all things, matrix A. Hit enter, it did it for me. Okay, so what if I now want the inverse of A? Well, I could type in A, and then raise that to the -1. And notice how that A turned bold, meaning it's stored as something, Deborah. Don't be alarmed. Enter, there is my inverse. Okay, well, again, going back to the original problem we had, we were looking at a matrix that was 6, 8, and 10 were the constants. So what if we went ahead and made that matrix? So we'll make matrix 3 by 1, and it was the even, 6, 8, 10. Let's go ahead and store that as B. Done. So now really we know that we would like to know what A inverse times B is, because that's going to give us the answer to our system of equations. 2, -16, -12. And if you go back and look at our augmented matrix, my goodness, it's the same answer. How else could you solve this? Well, you could solve it with a determinant. Wait a second, I already have that framed in. Look, I'm not even going through the menu. I'm just going to type det. Det A, determinant of A, is -4. Huh. So in order to find the other pieces in order to do Cramer's rule, you would probably need to go back and grab that matrix you called A, but we can do that. So you could plug in A again and get it that way. So I'll grab this one and I'll change the first column to 6, 8, and 10. And I'd like its determinant. So why bother doing anything else but asking for its determinant? -8. So -8. Oops, I don't know why I did that. So we could actually do it this way. We could take this as dx divided by the determinant gives me 2. I'm pretty sure you can figure out that I can get the other answers by finding dy and dz. And surprisingly enough, they'll be the same answers we got the other couple of ways. So storing is actually pretty valuable and makes our lives much, much easier. Is it mandatory? No, it's just an option that you have. Just like you have the option of typing things in or finding them in menus or using the menu or using whatever. So that was our discussion about matrices. I hope this is helpful to help you be able to navigate the calculator successfully.